Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about logical functions in calculated fields. You have already seen some examples that show how powerful calculated fields can be for creating useful measures and dimensions. But you can do even more with calculated fields. And I'm going to show in this video how you can use logical functions in calculated fields. First, we are going to start with case discrimination. Imagine your sales data is recorded by geographic region, as in the Superstore sample dataset, but you would like to report the numbers by the sales representatives assigned to the different regions. This can be easily done by case statement. We are going to create now a new calculated field and then call it sales rep, and we will use the following formula. Let's say we have 4 regions, south, west, north and east, and the 5th region is central. So case, start with case is a function, and we choose region, and then when it's south, then assign this to Lisa. When the region is west, then assign it to Mark. When the region is north, then assign to Kim. And when region is east, then assign to Mike. Else, other regions like central is going to be assigned to not defined. And then we need to end this formula, and we use AND. The case statement in the calculated field initiates the case discrimination, in this case based on the dimension region. The when-then pairs define the new value to be returned for each case. For example, the output is Lisa for each record where the region is south. And if none of the cases applied, for example central, the else statement, which is optional, ensures that the text not defined is displayed. So we can click apply this and then click OK. So we created a new dimension here. As you see, it's a calculated field, sales rep. The next case discrimination is with if then else logic. If then else logic is widely known from many programming languages. If you know any of the programming languages, it's not going to be hard for you to understand this logic. But this logic can also be used in calculated fields. While many problems can be solved with the simple case statement we just learned, using if-then-else statement can be also very powerful for nested logic. For instance, a manager responsible for the product subcategories, copiers, paper, and fasteners might be interested in comparing those numbers to those of the other subcategories. You can add a new dimension containing the newly grouped subcategories. So in order to do this, we are going to create a new calculated field and call it responsibility. And then we are going to use if, start with if, then we are going to choose here subcategory is equal to copiers, or subcategory is equal to fasteners, or subcategory is equal to paper. Then my subcategories, else other subcategories, and then end. According to this calculation, if the value of the dimension subcategory is equal to copiers, fasteners, or paper, this data entry will then be classified as my subcategories. Otherwise, the entry will be classified as other subcategories. We can just click on apply and then click OK, and we can use this new dimension, for example, by placing it on color to visually separate the aggregate values of the 3 subcategories from the rest. And next, I want to talk about case discrimination with the Iif function. The third way to include application logic in calculated field is the Iif function. If then else logic is very powerful, relatively easy to read and simple to use with nested logic. The Iif operator provides similar results, but it is for more compact statements. The downside to Iif is that more complicated nested statements quickly become less tractable. The Iif function requires 3 inputs: a test condition followed by a then attribute and then else attribute. If the test condition is evaluated to be true, then the value of the then attribute is returned. If the test condition is evaluated to be false, then the value of the else attribute is returned. A simple example is a check on whether an order is from today, the current date, or from a previous day. So we are going to create a new calculated field here, and let's call this order. And here we will use Iif function, and then we will use order date is less than today, and then old order, otherwise it's new order. So if the order date is from before the current date, returned by the function as you see on the screen today, the calculated field returns old order. If it's not, then you get new order. So this is how you can use Iif function. You click apply and then OK. And finally, I want to talk about working with null values. A more specific but very useful logic operator is the if null function. It tests for null values, records for which no value is available, and allows you to return a different value for such records. This can be useful when these records are meant to be included in calculations as 0 values. Another application would be to display a more user-friendly explanation instead of having the null. So let's demonstrate one use of if null function. Imagine you have a customer email field, but it's empty for some customers because they did not provide an email address. You can create a calculated field here and then use if null function and then choose customer. We don't have customer email, but let's assume that we have customer email in the dataset. You choose customer email and then you can say email not known. So what is happening here? When you add that field to the view, for example, you see the more informative email not known label for marks associated with the empty rows, as opposed to simply having null instead. So this is some of the logical functions that you can use in calculated fields, and thank you for watching this video.